And hey everyone, it is April 10th, 2026, and I am here live on YouTube, broadcasting the markets. And we are now about 5 minutes before the opening bell, and we're looking at the S&Ps up by about 10 handles, with the NASDAQ up by about 53, 54 handles, and the Russell up by 3 handles, and the Dow, which I think is a useless index because it's only 30 stocks and most of them are crap stocks anyway, is up by 7 handles. And what's interesting is most of the public, they all watch the Dow because it's the oldest index, but the S&P is, what they should be looking at is the S&P and the NASDAQ and the Russell. I have the Dow on my watch list, but honest to God, I don't watch it. I don't pay attention to it. So anyways, back to the S&P 500, up close to 10 handles on the day. I wanted to start out the day by discussing something I saw on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. It was from Linda Raschke, and she posted something on X, Twitter today, and basically showing that the S&P 500 is now in day 8 of an extended run to the upside. And basically with this breakout higher that we've seen, this big reversal and follow through to the upside, basically we are now in an extended run to the upside. And I think we're now we've had 8 trading sessions to the upside in the extended run. And if we zoom in here, we look and see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we are in 8 sessions into an extended run to the upside. And the stats on an extended run are that you can have up to 21 sessions to the upside or the downside of an extended run. So the odds are that at this point, with a big reversal day and a follow-through day, and then further follow-through after the follow-through, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, that now we're at the point where the odds are that the up move can last for a while. It can continue. And yesterday I talked about how I said we're not out of the woods yet, and we have all the bad news from the Iran war situation. So we are we're not out of the woods, and we can easily reverse. But at this point, especially after yesterday's tape action, after the follow-through day that Investors Business Daily marked, and now the extended run that Linda Raschke marked, the odds are that we can keep going higher for at least a couple more sessions. And at a certain point in the future, the odds change where you can get a reversal. But for now, the odds are in our favor that we can go higher. We've cleared the hurdles, per se. And I think personally, yesterday's tape action was very, very constructive. And the constructive tape action came after I signed off and ended my stream. In the first hour of the trading session yesterday, And we're gonna look at the short-term trading activity as we get close to the opening bell here, and we zoom in on the short-term trading activity. Yesterday, in the early morning trading session, we were looking at a sideways range day, and as I'm speaking, we are off to the races, and the market is open here. I'm just looking at the tape action. I'm going to continue what I was saying after I look around and look at the opening bell action. And so far today, the Nasdaq is up 14 handles. The Nasdaq is up 73 handles. The S&P is up 13 handles. Let's see here. Let's take a look at individual stocks. You can see here most of the action is green, but there's a lot of red on the screen, as you can tell. Let's take a look at the advanced decline line and the ticks. The ticks are about 300 positive, so that's good. But you can see here how even though the S&P and the Nasdaq and the Russell are higher, the ticks are, the advanced decline line is only up by about 500. So that's not too super bullish. It's positive, but it's not super positive. And we have the VIX that's down. That's good. And for some reason, as you see here, my 5-year interest rate should be next to the 10-year. I have to fix that. I have to edit this. Sometimes your symbols get out of whack on the platform. Something happens. This stuff drives me crazy. Yeah, it's better. I fixed it. Okay, so the semiconductors are higher today, but Western Digital and Micron, as you see here, are down on the day. So even though the SMH and semiconductors are higher and the Nasdaq's higher, Western Digital and Micron are down. That's not a good sign. Corning's up. Callistica's up. Bloom Energy is up, which is good because I have calls in Bloom Energy. I go back and look at my positions. I have calls in Bloom Energy. Those calls are pretty much unchanged right now. I'm down by about 3% in those calls. So I'm still holding on to them at this point. Apple's down by a dollar, but Meta is having a nice move to the upside. And Amazon's up, Nvidia's up. That's good. That's helping up my portfolio because I have lots of Nvidia. Microsoft's up, Tesla's up, Google's up. Palantir's down again. So it closed above 130 yesterday, but is down again to 127. Now close to 126. That is not good. Something is wrong with Palantir, I think. Something's going on with Palantir. And Robinhood's finally above 70. It was down to 67, 68. So seeing Robinhood above 70 is good. This stock has been in the crapper for a little while, and we want to see it kind of pick up. At least I want to see it pick up again because I'm bullish on Robinhood for the long term. To see it above 70 is good, but it's still in the crapper. Let's see what else is going on. Bitcoin is up a bit, but pretty close to unchanged. And I'm looking. I've got the Bloom Energy calls, which is good. But Palantir may be reversing a little bit here, but down at 126. Something is wrong with that stock. And Meta is acting very, very nicely right here. Up again. It has had a nice run since the news of its new large language model has come out. The stock has been acting very nicely. So I'm going to go back to what I was saying earlier. We go back to the S&P on the short-term chart, and basically yesterday when I was live in the early morning session, an overnight and early morning session, and we'll zoom into the overnight and early morning session here. Basically yesterday, throughout the nighttime and in the early morning, and then in the morning session before the opening bell, you can see how you have a very clear sideways range here, back and forth, a little bit of a sell-off, and then a move back, but then another move down. That is a very clear sideways range type of tape action. And I ended the live stream right about here, a little further beyond that point. And basically, when you look at this tape action here, back and forth, up to 11 o'clock, it was very, very sideways range, very, very back and forth. And you can classify the trading day going forward as a sideways range type of day. And you can look to make trades based off of a sideways range structure where you buy the pullback and sell the rally. And go about the day looking to either buy the pullback or sell the rally, and use these levels as resistance and support to use as a reference point to buy the dip or sell the rally. And after this point, when we zoom out and then zoom back in after 11 o'clock, the entire day changed. And we had a huge breakout to the upside and then sideways range after that. So yesterday, you would classify yesterday as a double distribution day where you have two key value areas and two key areas where you have lots of trading activity. And that would be right here in this area in the morning, right here, this sideways range, and then another price range that had lots of traded activity right here. It's very rare when you get a day where you have two distributions or two areas where you have lots of trading activity. Two value areas, essentially. An afternoon value area and a morning value area. And that is these two value areas are made up along with a big breakout move to the upside, which is further follow through. So you had this further follow through here in the middle of the day from news that we had yesterday about the war in Iran. So you had this further follow through from the big follow through that we had yesterday. within an extended run to the upside. So the fact that we got this further follow through yesterday and created two value areas after you got the big follow through from yesterday, this confirms that now the bulls are in control of the market right now. And this can easily continue for more trading sessions. And earlier this week I said, when the market had its big reversal, let me remove all these lines. I think you guys get this by now. And we zoom out and we look at the bigger picture here. And we zoom back in and we see that we have this big reversal here from the bottom. And then you get some, kind of sideways action. And then you get the follow through from the news that we're going to have a ceasefire, plus the action yesterday, which is further follow through. And we have created an extended run to the upside, and we have a reversal, follow through, and now further follow through. That is all very bullish, and basically it means that the bulls are in control, and this can continue for multiple trading sessions in the future. The odds are that this can continue for multiple trading sessions in the future. And the fact that we got that big up move yesterday to the upside after the day before is very bullish and is confirmation in the tape action that the bulls are in control. And right now, so far today, when we zoom in to the charts, basically you have the up move, and now you have this bull flag back and forth tape action. And basically, I'm just gonna zoom in more here. Basically, we have this sideways trade action. So for today, so far this morning, we have a sideways trading market, and you can look to sell any pullback. You can look to buy any pullback and sell any rally. But you have to remember that on the bigger picture, we are in an extended run and we had the follow through to the upside. So in my book, I want to trade in the direction of the general market, the way the general market is going. So I would look to buy on a pullback if I was scalping, and use these levels here. You can use 68, 66. We can use 68, 62, or even a bigger pullback down to the previous low levels, right around 68.50. And that level there, you have multiple data points. We have 1, 2, 3 points, 3 data points that confirm support. So if this market pulls back to 68.50 or close to 68.50, that is a fantastic entry in my book to look to buy the S&Ps and get long, because you have the trend higher, you have the extended run higher, and you get a pullback within that trend to key support in the S&P. That would be a buy entry point, and you can use 68.45 or 68.40 as a stop, and your upside potential from this level right around 68.50 is easily 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 25, 30, 35 points to the upside. So you're risking 5 to 10 points to make 30 to 35, 40 points on the S&P. That is a fantastic trade. And the bigger picture, you have an up move, an uptrend, an extended run to the upside, and so if you get that short-term pullback to that level, I would look to buy with the S&P close to 68.50. And in the structure of the day, you have a sideways range, and the key levels to sell right here are right around 68.75 to 68.80 if you want to short sell. And you have to be cognizant of that level if you want to short sell, which is basically going back to the high swing high from the Thursday trading session, which is right where we kind of peaked out for today. But I think this level right around 68.76 can easily be broken, and we could have another double distribution or late day trend day. We'll see how this plays out. Now going back to looking at my positions, my Bloom Energy call is down about 4% since I entered it, 4% to 5%. So I'm still holding on to those Bloom calls. They're slightly in the money, and I have sold all the covered calls that I need to sell. So I don't have a lot to do with my portfolio, and I'm looking around for some trades. One stock that looks really good right now, or two stocks that stick out to me today that look really good right now, are Amazon. As we see, this is a nice move here to the upside, and Nvidia. And these two stocks, Amazon and Nvidia, are driving the market today, because if you look at all the big cap tech stocks, the Mag 7 and other big cap tech stocks along with the Mag 7, these two stocks, Netflix and Nvidia, or sorry, Amazon and Nvidia, are driving the Mag 7 higher. So and as a whole, the SMH semiconductors are driving the market higher. And we see a nice big reversal as I'm looking at Amazon and Nvidia go higher. We see that SMH is going higher, and we take a look at Micron and Western Digital, two key semiconductor stocks. They are now reversing to the upside, and as I speak, Micron is now higher on the day, just barely, almost, just unchanged. Now it's in the green. So it's flickering just green right now, just barely green with Micron. So that's good. And Western Digital, one of the main competitors to Micron, is up nicely with a big reversal today. So that is some positive tape action. So you see that you look and see that the SMH is higher. And you look at the key stocks in that area, and the other key semiconductor stocks, specifically in the memory space. Micron and Western Digital are in the memory space. We have SanDisk is, again, opened down and then had a nice reversal up, and it's up another percent. So SanDisk, Western Digital, Micron acting well. Let's take a look at AMD. Whew, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. If you long that stock, you're kicking butt. So along with Nvidia and up, which is a semiconductor stock, Micron is trying to be up. Western Digital is up. SanDisk is up. Marvell is another semiconductor stock that is up. That's fantastic. Seagate is up a little bit, and the other stock that is not a semiconductor stock but a big cap 7 stock that is driving the NASDAQ higher is Amazon. So everything looks good. You know, Tesla's up a little bit. I'd like to see Tesla up, even though I don't own it. I'd like to see Tesla up to help drive the NASDAQ and S&P higher. Let's see, there are still stocks that are down on the day. The financials are down. We look at the financial stocks. Goldman Sachs is down. Morgan Stanley's down. Bank of America's down. Visa and MasterCard are down. Here's Visa. Take a quick look at MasterCard, and American Express is down. So all the financials are down. Got Uber and DoorDash down. Here's DoorDash. Spotify and Shopify are down, and Oracle's down. So that's a big key SaaS stock that's down. So there are some, and another SaaS stock is ServiceNow is down. Let me take a look at Salesforce. I haven't looked at Salesforce in a while. That's down. So the SaaS stocks, the software stocks are down, and of course Palantir is getting taken to the woodshed. And I own this stock, so I'm very transparent. You know, I own Nvidia, I own Amazon. They're doing well. I own Micron, but I also own. They've been doing very well. But I also own Palantir. This stock is being taken to the woodshed. So it broke 130, it broke 125, and it's down to 123 now. So I'm watching this carefully, and you know, I have huge gains in Palantir, so it's hard for me to sell it because, quite frankly, of tax situation. But if this continues like this, I may have to sell it. The problem is that, like, in my opinion, the thesis is very strong for Palantir. It's one of the strongest AI software plays on the board. It is leaps and bounds above other SaaS AI stocks. So there's something there with Palantir, and yes, it is expensive and it has a high PE, and yes, it was due for a sell-off. So I'm not surprised by that. It's just that when the sell-off happens, it's like it's very, very sickening. It's brutal. But I am bullish on it long term, and I like, you know, I love the CEO. I love the thesis. I love the products. They basically crush all the SaaS companies. You know, other companies put all this used to put all this money into services like Salesforce.com to do all their you know, workflow and business you know, stuff that they all did. I've never had a real job with a company, so I don't know exactly what they do from that point of view, but they use this software like Microsoft has Copilot and so forth, and basically Palantir blows that all out of the water because of their AI software. And you know, that's why and the government uses them for military uses. So maybe because they're a defense stock, not just a software AI software stock, but a defense stock, because their software is used for defense purposes. The fact that the end of the Iran war is on the horizon, that may be the reason why Meta's selling off. And let's see here. One stock that's also doing very well in the AI sector today is Vertiv Holdings, and they make tons of basically they are a one-stop shop to build out data centers. They do all this types of stuff to build out for data centers. So Vertiv is running higher. I'm very long Vertiv, and I've owned this stock for quite some time. And the stock is ripping higher, so that's fantastic for me. So I'm not totally in the hole. I got one stock that's killing me, but I got other stocks that are helping me out on a day like today. So, and hopefully, if Micron can get some wind beneath its wings and keep going higher, along with the other memory stocks, then I'm really doing well. And as I speak, we have Nvidia that is just ripping higher and gaining a lot of momentum to the upside here. Really starting to break, getting close to breaking out to the upside. And Nvidia has been in a sideways range for a while. So NVIDIA is acting very well, running up to the upside, driving the stock market higher as a whole. And it has been, the stock itself has been in a sideways range for quite some time. And we take a look at the NVIDIA chart, for the long term. We'll look at, this is a daily chart going back to April of last year. We can see how basically NVIDIA has basically been in a sideways range for multiple months. We could take our trusty drawing tool and basically, hold on a second, let me get another drawing tool here. Let me delete this. I gotta delete it. But we can take a look at the bigger picture chart here on NVIDIA. This is a 1-year chart going back to April. And we go to the drawing tools and we get our trusty drawing tool and we draw a sideways line. A basic sideways line in NVIDIA. And basically we have gone nowhere and close to right where we are now to where we were all the way back to the beginning of August. The beginning of August last year. That is a long time basically doing absolutely nothing. And now we're moving up to the upper Bollinger Band here. You can see the big momentum thrust to the upside, both in the rate of change and in the 310 oscillator. And then you look at the slow line, it's starting to turn up and starting to go into the positive. That is all very bullish. But we still need to go higher before we have a true breakout in NVIDIA. We need to get above, these levels here. You can draw this sideways line in NVIDIA where we have resistance. We need to get above this level, above 196. 196. That's a key level that we need to get above. And we also need to go, even above, you can make an argument that we need to get above 198. So we have more upside resistance to get through. We have to get through this this swing high here. And then the ultimate level that we need to get above is above the all-time high, above 212. So when you get above 200 on NVIDIA, I think that's going to bring in a lot of individuals to buy the stock, both funds and individuals. And the 200 is a round number. It's a Jesse Livermore number. So above these, when you get above these round numbers, historically you get more buyers to step in and bid the stock higher. That's what they call a Livermore number. But you still have this ultimate high in NVIDIA that needs to get above. So even above 200, it needs to now get above 212. So the 200 level may drive the stock up to 212, which is very bullish, but we still need to get above, this 190, 196 level, and then above the 200 level. So there's lots of resistance that NVIDIA has to clear. But the fact that we're at the upper Bollinger Band, and the fact that you're getting this up thrust in momentum, and the fact that you have the slow line starting to turn higher and get close to going into the getting into the positive, this is all very bullish for NVIDIA. Now, let's take a look at the weekly chart. I'm going to delete all these lines. I can't stand tons of lines and stuff on my charts. I like it very clean. I draw stuff, I memorize the key levels, and then I delete the lines because I just can't stand too many lines on my charts. It drives me crazy. I go crazy. I got it. Okay, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see these key levels without lines. I got it. There's a line. There's a level. There's a level. There's a level. I got it. 196, 200, 212. We got it. Go. So let's take a look at the weekly chart of NVIDIA. And basically, when I say weekly chart, each one of these bars is a week. And it goes back all the way to 2021 on this chart. I go back 5 years. And you can see how we have had multiple periods multiple periods in the past where we had lots of bearish selling activity in NVIDIA. And yes, as you can see here, we have clearly been in the sideways range since this extended run to the upside. So we had this extended run to the upside. We broke out of this resistance here, and now we have been trading in this sideways range since basically August of 2025. And what's interesting is NVIDIA was the leading stock to the upside. It peaked in August. It actually peaked in. It peaked in October, but it went into the sideways trading range in hindsight in August, and it peaked in October, and that is when the market stopped going up and basically began its sideways range. So when the main stocks peak, that's usually when the market peaks. And it also, we have NVIDIA peaking here in September and October period. What also peaked in that September-October period? Oh my God, could it have been Bitcoin? Yes. Look at this. And we had the Bitcoin have a kind of like a triple top here that formed, and the up move stopped, and we started going down right in late September, early October. We peaked in Bitcoin. So what's fascinating is we peaked in NVIDIA, we peaked in Bitcoin, and then the rest of the market also peaked. And then you see how October, once the main stock peaked, Bitcoin peaked, and also Netflix, the NASDAQ peaked and has been going down ever since and been in a sideways trading range. So where was I? Basically, you get that peak in the NASDAQ after NVIDIA and Bitcoin peak. So now we go back to NVIDIA, and we see how NVIDIA is making a nice move to the upside. NVIDIA being the main horse, the fact that NVIDIA is leading to the upside and is now, we're looking at a weekly chart, has now traded above the 20-day on the weekly, and we go to a daily chart and we see that now NVIDIA is traded at the upper Bollinger Band on the daily chart. When we go back to the weekly chart, we see how the slow line is starting to flatten out, and we're getting an up move in the fast line, and we're getting an up move in the rate of change. And now the rate of change is positive. All this is very bullish for NVIDIA, both on the weekly chart and the daily chart. And the fact that it being the main horse, the main stock of the stock market, and see this bullish activity, it could be just like it peaked before the regular stock market peaked. It could be bottoming and running higher, which could be a very bullish sign for the general market as a whole. So that is all very good technical action. Now we can easily at this point trade up to this level, get up to the upper Bollinger Band on the weekly chart, which is right around 195, which is a key resistance level on the daily chart. We go back to the daily chart and you see this 195 being the key resistance level. So the upper Bollinger Band on the weekly, we see here, 194, close to 195. So this upper Bollinger Band on the weekly is the resistance on the daily. How is that possible? It's like it's a coincidence. It's like it's meant to be, right? Stuff happens all the time. that is now a key resistance level for NVIDIA. So we can easily go up to 195 and reverse. And 195, 200, and 212 are three key resistance levels or key thresholds, key ceilings that NVIDIA needs to break above. So we are not out of the woods yet with NVIDIA. But the fact that we're seeing this bullish tape action in the weekly chart and the daily chart, and even the intraday chart, is very constructive for not just NVIDIA but the market as a whole. And us being in an extended run to the upside and having a very nice sideways range after the follow through yesterday, all this is very constructive action. So especially if we get some positive news on the war front, this is all very, very, very bullish for the market. And it goes back to what I always say, when the bombs are flying, you better be buying. There's an old saying that goes back all the way to the 60s, during the Cold War era. When the bombs are flying, you better be buying. When war is happening and things look like the world is going to end, always buy. Don't necessarily wait for your follow-through days and your breakouts and your new highs to buy. I think it's very important. If something's in a bona fide downtrend, especially when it's in a downtrend for your time frame that you want to hold the name, then you don't want to buy on a pullback, because it's already pulling back. It's already in a downtrend. So don't buy that down move if the underlying is in a downtrend. But if you have a bona fide uptrend and a long-term move to the upside, and that name is continuing to go higher, and then it goes and forms a base, and then the market pulls back and sells off, and that stock that you like, after being in a base in an uptrend, sells off more, but is still in that bona fide uptrend, and the news sucks and it seems like the world's going to come to an end, that's when you buy. And those opportunities don't happen that often. I wish they happened more often. Part of me does. Other parts of me is like, I don't like that stuff. It's hell when the world's coming to an end and everything sucks. But when that stuff, when those times happen, that's when you step in and buy. Because if this positive tape action continues into next week, which now the odds are, in the favor that can happen, you're going to start to see, the VWAP guys come in. You're going to start to see the momentum guys come in, and they're going to just bid up these stocks higher. And those investors, those types of traders, I don't think they've started buying. Because when you listen to them, they need more confirmation. They need more confirmation and higher prices to buy, because they're buy high, sell higher type of investors. And I'm just not necessarily in that camp. I used to be when I was younger, but then I got pissed off because I missed all the big moves, and I was like, I remember when I was going through this, I'm like, okay, the market's, trending higher, keeps going higher. We've been in this sell-off action for the past couple months. Goldman Sachs just came out with a newsletter saying basically the market's about to break down. And all these stocks that I've been loving for the past couple years are selling off. What if I do the opposite? What if I do the total opposite and buy these names? And I did. And then the market ripped up to new highs, and I was like, damn, that's it. That's how I do it. Those were the days, right? When you're just learning and trying out new stuff. If you're a new investor, a new trader, enjoy that learning process, because it only comes around once in a lifetime. It's very exciting and exhilarating when you are in the learning process and you try new stuff and it works out and you make money. It's the best. And you're never going to experience that type of adrenaline and exhilaration again. I'm sorry. But it's really fun, that learning process, because trading's a business, and you're growing your business, you're going up the learning curve, and that is just a fun, exhilarating experience. Uh, so enjoy it, because it will get more and more boring as you get your system and process in place and start making money more consistently. Enjoy the process of learning and trying out new stuff. It's a journey. That's what I'm trying to do now with my business. I'm okay trying new stuff and failing and learning, and I'm just trying to accept the fact that I'm gonna make mistakes, and I'm gonna continue to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And I'm open to having stuff not work out, basically failing, but it's okay to fail. And then I go back to the drawing board and try out new stuff, and it's this experience of growing a business is very fun so far. I'm just trying to enjoy all of it, even the mistakes and the bad things that come with it. So, one stock I wanted to talk about, Meta. Meta is, as I said, trading higher today. It's giving back some of its gains, which isn't good. So it came out with its new large language model a couple days ago, and it also made a deal with CoreWeave. And extended a deal with CoreWeave to use their GPUs and their servers. So that was bullish for Meta, and it has had a nice run over the past couple of days, along with other Mag 7 stocks. But Meta has been having an extra good run to the upside, and maybe this pullback today after opening higher is just some profit taking. So we'll see if Meta stays positive. I wanted to mention that. I want to mention that name. With the positive news, I think it could continue to go higher. One tech stock that is down, other than Palantir, which I'll go back to Palantir and basically just getting the living crap beaten out of it. We look at a bigger picture chart of Palantir, and it is just getting pounded. Hopefully it can stay above 120 now, and we wanted Palantir to stay above 130 yesterday. So it's just brutal. Look at this, breaking down below this key support. So we had key support in Palantir right at the 127, 126 level right here. And we go back all the way back to this swing low here on July 2025, and we have this support here from early February, and it has broken right through that support like a hot knife through butter. And it's going down as the Bollinger Bands are expanding. That's very, very bearish. You can see momentum has made new lows. Actually, it has made new lows on the rate of change. But what is interesting is on the oscillators, you see new lows here on the 310, but we're not making new lows on the fast line on the 310. So that's good. We have forming some type of divergence here as we go through the support and go through the lower Bollinger Band. So maybe Palantir may form some type of low here right around the 120 level. So, but it is something to keep an eye on. It's just breaking through all this support. And Robinhood, remember, these were the gems of last year. It's interesting that these gems, Robinhood and Palantir, are getting so shellacked this year. It's just interesting to me. I've seen this happen before. A stock does so incredibly well one year, nothing changes from the fundamental point of view, but then the next year, just people sell it just because they want to take their profits and move into something else. It's kind of annoying. But if you have a long-term thesis, I've learned you kind of have to just stick in it, stay in the stock and gut through it. And, trade around the core position. Um, and like I said, I have such a big gain in these stocks. I don't want to. That nothing's changed fundamentally, and I think eventually the stocks will make another run higher. And I don't want to pay taxes, because basically that's essentially a 25 to 30% drawdown. And here's what people don't talk about. Here's the thing. If you have a 25% drawdown, here's the interesting thing. What that means is, from a mathematical point of view, you're like, oh, okay, so you can take a 25% drawdown. What's the big deal? Nobody talks about this. If you have a 25% drawdown, it means you have to make 50% just to get back to even. So if you already have the stock, and if you're in my case, I'm bullish long term. So nothing's changed fundamentally. I'm bullish long term. If the thesis changes or something happens, then that's a different story. But nothing's really changed for me long term. If I sell the stock, and I already have a huge gain on the stock, if I sell the stock, then it's another 25% drawdown or 30% drawdown, and I have to make at least 50% to get back to even. And so it's more advantageous just to hold on to the stock, because I don't necessarily have another name that I can buy that will get me that return that quickly. It's more advantageous just to hold on to the stock and wait for the stock to go back up, so I don't have to make back another 50% in the stock. And at the end of the day, this is a business, and you have to think about everything from a mathematical point of view, and that is very important. Making 50% in an underline is not easy. And what can happen is you sell, you get an extra 25% drawdown paying taxes, and guess what? This stock rips back up to new highs and you completely miss it. And doing stuff like that is how you perpetually underperform, but you never really realize it until you sit down and do the math. Don't sell if you don't have to. Now, if there's a fundamental change, if the thesis changes, if growth drops and something significant is changed in the underlying company, and Peter Lynch talks about this, then you got to sell. And, paying taxes is part of the process, but you have to factor that into the equation as well. So that's stuff that's very important that only a professional trader will talk about. So, I was taking a look at CoreWeave here and texting a trader friend of mine. I like it. Looks really good. I pulled up the daily chart. Let me take a look at the weekly chart. Or sorry, the intraday chart on CoreWeave. Very good action. it's had a nice move on the news from Meta, but I'm looking at the charts here, looking at the intraday action, and I'm looking at the looking at the intraday chart, and also looking at the daily chart. I still think it's a buy. It's right at that Jesse Livermore number, very close to that Jesse Livermore number, right around 100. I am going to buy some calls. What the heck, right? You only live once. So I'm pulling up the options here on another screen. I'm taking a look at the April 7 options here. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to pull this up on the trade tab of CoreWeave. So I'm looking at options on another screen, but I'm going to pull it up for you guys so you can see the options. I'm looking at these April 17th options that expire in 7 days. So I'm looking at these options to buy here, right near the 100 strike. So I'm looking at the 99 strike, the 100 strike, the 97.50s. I think I'm going to buy the 99 calls. Strike calls. Let me pull these up for you. I'm looking at these 99 strike calls. Yeah, I like it, man. I like it. I'm gonna buy these calls. I've been out of CoreWeave for a while, and I like the way it's acting on very bullish news. My trader friend made some nice money on it. He was early. I'm late, but I don't think I'm too. I think I'm late to this trade, but I still think it can go higher. So I'm texting trader friend and looking at the options, multitasking. So yeah, he took profits in his CoreWeave, and I told him, I said, I'm still long. I still think it's a buy, and he said he may buy calls on a pullback. I'm gonna text him now. I'm looking at the calls now. Yeah. So I pulled up the calls that I'm looking at. I haven't purchased them yet, but I'm looking at them, and as I speak, they're going up in value. Glad he texted me. And these calls are getting bid up right here. I think I'm gonna put in a bid at $5.70. I'm gonna see if I can hit. So I have an order in at $5.70. That's my order right there, $5.70, and I'm gonna have to raise this bid up to $5.95. I just got filled at $5.95 on these CoreWeave calls at 99 strikes. So that is my trade right there, $5.95. And I bought more than one contract. I don't talk about my size, but I did buy more than one contract. So I have long these 99 calls. Oh, sorry. And I like how when I was texting and looking at the options and so forth, and thinking out loud to the camera, I love how the price of the option went up. So I like how when I first looked at it, it was at 575, 580, and it went up to 595. That's very good. So the stock is going up, and it's right at that 100 level, that Jesse Livermore number. So we'll see if we get some bids at that price. We'll go back and take a look here. It's right trading near this pivot high right here, right around 102, 103, and above the upper Bollinger Band. Momentum is increasing to the upside. So there's your trade right there, everyone. CoreWeave, 99 strike calls, April 26 expiration. They expire on April 17th. So, and I like how the video is running, and Micron is still down today. This Micron and Palantir are just pissing me off today. Now Palantir's bouncing back a little bit. So since I talked about it earlier in the stream, it's bouncing back a little. So I mentioned that it's getting pounded like a redheaded stepchild, but that divergence in the daily chart is a good sign. Let's go back and take a look at the intraday chart of CoreWeave. I made a bunch of money in CoreWeave, and I gave back about half of my profits, and I sold it. And I'm back in, baby! And it's at 100 a share. It's over 100. This is nice action. I like how the stock, any intraday dip gets bought, gaps up, and just keeps going. It's a gap and go pattern. They call this a gap and go. So it opens higher, has a gap, and keeps going. And maybe in the future, this trader friend of mine will come on and stream live with me. I'd like to have him on. He's very knowledgeable. He's been trading for, I think, at least 30 years, maybe 40 years. He's older than me, and he's very experienced, and he's helped me out a lot. So, he's working on building a website right now. So maybe we can do in the future. We'll do projects together and make videos together. We'll collaborate together. And he's a real trader. This is all he's not. He does. He trades for a living, and so that's why he's just like me, and that's why we became friends. Because we met at a trading seminar, and he's a real trader, and we knew we kind of met each other right away, like, oh my God, you're a real trader. You do this for a living. You're just like me. And that's how we became friends. So he's working on building his website, and that's not an easy task because he's still running his own trading business. So we may do some projects in the future, and I think you guys can learn a lot from him as well. He's a lot more shorter term than me. He does lots of scalping and stuff. Me, I'll hold a position for a couple days. He's a scalper in and out. Uses lots of moving averages and stuff, and total market junkie, just like me, though. That's the thing. So. And a true full-timer professional. And a businessman and entrepreneur. He does different stuff. He's been a stockbroker before. He's sold annuities and does other investment projects. So, I think in the future I can get other entrepreneurs and businessmen on the camera in the future. I think hopefully that would be really cool. Because one thing I learned from my dad, who's a serial entrepreneur, he's like, you always got to have multiple businesses going. Because one may be doing bad, you got to have the other one as backup. I thought that's an interesting advice from my dad. I come from a family, and all of us are entrepreneurs. We don't work for other people. We only work for ourselves. And we always have a different gig and a different thing going. We don't always succeed, but we always are trying something, doing something different. we're all serial entrepreneurs, so I think it's in our blood. Um, and even my cousin was working in the corporate world for a little bit, and he quit, and now he's doing a family business with his dad. And I remember I thought to myself, I'm like, man, you're gonna end up. I said I remember being with him and saying, how do you do this, man? How do you do this 9 to 5 crap? He's like, he's like, cuz it's driving me crazy. And I said, listen, you only live once, so I don't see you doing this for much longer. Uh, your family, and I know you. I don't see you doing this for much longer. Like a couple months later, he quit. He went into doing his own business with his dad. I'm like, I knew it. I knew it. And he goes, cousin, you don't know how much happier I am. I was like, I'm happy for you. But it's a good example of, like, in my family as a whole, we're always hustling, doing some gig, building, creating something. We're all serial entrepreneurs. It's in our blood. So, a big part of doing this YouTube channel, just doing it, just going with the, just doing it. What the heck, right? Seeing what happens. And for now, it's free. Right now, I don't have a clear revenue model, but in the future, we'll see what happens. There's the idea of premium videos on YouTube could be a revenue model. Getting ad revenue from YouTube is a revenue model, and having some type of subscription service is a revenue model. But I don't want to be. The key thing is that if I have some subscription pay service in the future, I have to make sure that I provide value to people that pay for it. The idea of being pegged as some scammer or something scares the living crap out of me. And the thing about it also is that I'm talking as CoreWeave is ripping higher, is that, like, the thing about trading and investing is that if you're following me, if you're watching my videos because you think, or any other educator out there, because you think that they'll have some holy grail type of system that you can implement to make money, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. Nobody, I don't care if you're Warren Buffett or Jimmy Buffett, has any idea whatsoever what the markets are going to do. And that comes from the Wolf of Wall Street, Matthew McConaughey's character. And I know it comes from a movie, but it is spot on 100%. I have opinions, I have ideas, but I have no idea. I mean, yesterday in the live stream, I was talking about how we're not out of the woods, and my gut feel is that the markets can roll over and go down. But then after the tape action that we saw in the afternoon and looking at the charts and seeing the extended run, everything is pointing to the fact that this market is gaining momentum to the upside. Yes, you have the fog of war. Yes, you have a lot of bad stuff going on in the market, but the tape action and the charts, which is kind of the same thing in my mind, are showing me that my gut feel that I had yesterday morning is completely wrong. So, listen, I have strong convictions that are loosely held, and I am not afraid to be wrong, because you have to have an opinion to make money in the market. You have to pick a direction. You have to have an opinion. But you have to understand that you are going to be wrong, and it's okay to be wrong. The key is finding risk-reward opportunities that give you a limited downside with a high upside potential. Or there's other models, other trading models, where you have a high probability of success and you make a small amount of money. And you do that over and over and over again. You just have to make sure that your model, your methodology gives you an edge. And you just keep doing it and let the odds play out in your favor. For me, I'm looking to bat 300 and make $3, $4, possibly $5 or more, and lose only one. And the opportunities that make you $5 or even more, like $6, $7, $10, getting a 10 bagger basically, or more, they don't come around that often. So usually I'm just trying to make $3 for the risk of $1 to the downside. And CoreWeave's ripping. That looks fantastic. But I'm only trying to bat 300. And that is the key. That is the key. And you have to think out. Stanley Druckenmiller talks a lot about this. Think out and envision and imagine a world where opportunities and things can happen that the other people don't necessarily see or understand. And don't rush to make trades. Just seek out those opportunities that other people don't quite understand. They don't see it. They don't imagine it yet. And he says to think out like 18 to 24 months in the future, which is very difficult to do. So like stuff like, the AI energy problem. I think that's something that was an opportunity that not many people understand. The memory problem, the problem with getting high bandwidth memory, that's a problem, looking out 12, 18, 24 months. I don't think that's something that people understand. There's another thing I've been noodling on recently, and that is the idea that silver is so in demand. And I think that's something that the market's caught on to that I have kind of missed. I missed that idea. And the question I have to figure out is how much has the market priced that in? Is it priced it in, or am I late to the party? And looking at the price of silver, I think I'm late to the party, and I think I might have missed that big money on that idea, on that trade, which happens, So I'm always on the lookout for ideas. The energy trade and companies using their normal industrial business to build turbines, that was something that I saw ahead of time. And Caterpillar, GE Vernova, I got into these stocks very, very early and made a lot of money from that. So let me see here. Let me take a look at Caterpillar and GE Vernova. This is an example of a thesis that I kind of have to credit my dad for catching on to this before I even did. And his idea, I was like, that's spot on. That's great. And I've been long Caterpillar for quite some time, and GE Vernova. The problem that we have with energy, that's a thesis that I kind of caught on to. It came originally from my dad, who mentioned it, and I thought he was spot on. And we got into this thesis and have made a lot of money from it. GE Vernova is the other name. Let me see here. So power is a big issue in the world, and you can see how this stock has been ripping. Another thing that I think that I'm early. I think I'm early, and I think it has a lot more legs to go. Is the idea that yes, silver and copper are big in building out data centers and building semiconductors, but so is light. The idea, the thesis of light transmitting data faster than metal, I think, is something that the market hasn't really caught on to. And Corning, and I think there's a lot more money to be made. And Corning is one of those stocks, and I love it. It's breaking out. It's acting extremely well. And another name is Lumentum. And this stock has been ripping higher. So this is a thesis, an idea that I think the market has started to price it in, but I still think that it's got more legs to go. So you have to figure out, you have to find themes and theses and figure out, like, am I late to the party? Am I early? Or am I just a little bit late? Is there more money to be made? And I'm wrong a lot. Like, here's a perfect example. I thought that with the building out of AI, that, you know, web, cybersecurity was going to be a big play. I really did. But man, oh man, I blommed this one. I lost a lot of money in these stocks, these cybersecurity stocks, and I got out of Palo Alto a long time ago. But I was in it for a couple months, and I couldn't make any money. And eventually, I was like, you know what? The thesis is not developing. They're going to hack all these computers anyway with quantum computing. Something's wrong, and I got out of it. But I never really had a big profit, so it was okay to sell the loser, which is a little different than my situation with Palantir. So anyways, everyone, that's it for today. I hope I helped everyone out. I gave you some ideas. And have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all next week. I am still long the Bloom Energy calls as we go into the weekend. I'm long those calls. So my short-term trades, I'm long the Bloom Energy calls, and now those calls are up by 22%. So earlier they were down about 3 to 5%. Now those Bloom Energy calls, which are the April 155 calls, those are up by 22%. Holding on to them for now. And the other calls that I am long are the CoreWeave calls that I bought today. Those calls are up by 39%. So that's a quick profit pretty quickly. I'm going to still hold on to those calls and decide whether I want to hold them or roll them or something in the future. And that is it for today, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.